Everyone thought he was just a poor janitor who would never achieve anything in life. But when the entire building caught fire and the woman he loved was placed in danger, only then was the truth revealed. He was actually the heir to everything. In the heart of the dazzling city of Makati, there stood a tall and luxurious building visited every day by businessmen, professionals, and powerful individuals. To everyone, it appeared to be nothing more than an ordinary business center. But behind its polished glass walls and expensive offices, a secret had been hidden for a long time. A secret that would change the lives of everyone inside. Working in that building was Elmer Suarez, at 25 years old, athletic, handsome, and a quiet young man. Every day, he arrived early to clean the floors, pantry, hallways, and offices. He never complained, even when he was exhausted, and he never paid attention to the employees who barely even looked at him. To them, he was nothing more than a janitor who was easy to order around and easy to underestimate. But what the people in the office did not know was that Elmer had another life after work. When he removed his janitor uniform, he became an engineering student. Every night, even with a tired body and heavy eyes, he went to the university to continue pursuing his dream. He was already close to graduating. And for Elmer, every hardship was a step toward the life he had chosen for himself. Elmer was not born poor. In fact, he came from a wealthy and well-known family. His father, Dr. Arturo Suarez, was a respected doctor and the director of a large hospital in Makati. He wanted Elmer to follow in his footsteps, but the young man chose a different path. When Elmer announced that he wanted to study engineering, their conversation turned into a heated argument. And that night, Elmer chose to leave their luxurious home rather than abandon his own dream. Although Dr. Arturo remained firm in his decision, Helena could never bring herself to abandon her son, without her husband knowing. She secretly visited Elmer in his small rented room. She brought him food, some money, and the things he needed for his studies. But more than anything, she made him feel that he was never alone. Even if he could no longer return to their home, there was still a mother who continued to believe in him. Elmer had an older sister named Susan. At 28 years old, she was already a successful and respected doctor at the hospital managed by their father. Susan was the child who followed Dr. Arturo's wishes, but she never believed that Elmer's choice was wrong. For her, siblings did not need to have the same dreams in order to both become successful. She secretly waited for the day when their father and brother would finally reconcile. One busy morning, the office became crowded because of the arrival of new employees. There were new administrative staff, analysts, and accountants. Among them was Jasmine Lapid, a 24-year-old newly licensed accountant. She also came from a wealthy family, but like Elmer, she did not want to live under the shadow of her parents' name and money. She wanted to prove that she could succeed through her own efforts. While Elmer was busy arranging his cleaning cart, he noticed the new employee entering the office. He could not take his eyes away from Jasmine. There was something different about her calm movements and sweet smile. From the very first moment, something stirred inside Elmer's heart. But when he saw her elegant clothes and professional appearance, he immediately remembered how everyone looked at him. To Jasmine, perhaps he was just a janitor. Not long after, an employee accidentally spilled coffee in the pantry. Elmer was immediately called to clean the floor. Quietly, he knelt down and began wiping it away, while the people around him continued laughing and chatting. But he did not know that Jasmine was standing there, and while he focused on cleaning, the new accountant silently watched him. One employee noticed Jasmine's long gaze toward Elmer, so jokingly, he introduced the two of them. "Elmer, this is Jasmine, our new accountant. Jasmine, this is Elmer, our hardworking and handsome janitor." Elmer gave a small smile. Jasmine did the same. No other words came from their lips. But during those few seconds when their eyes met, it felt as if a feeling that had been waiting for a long time had finally awakened. As they walked back toward the office, one employee approached Jasmine. "He's handsome, sure," the employee whispered, "but he's only a janitor. No matter how hard he works, it will be difficult for him to move up in life." Jasmine did not respond. She did not like the way her colleague spoke about him, because for her, no job should ever be considered shameful, and no person should be judged only by the uniform they wear. When Jasmine returned to her desk, she could not get Elmer's face out of her mind. She could not explain why she felt so comfortable around him. It felt as if this was not the first time she had met him. There was something familiar in his eyes, a kind of kindness and calmness that was rare among the people around her. Jasmine smiled without realizing it, and for the first time, she became interested in someone she had barely even spoken to. A week later, Jasmine passed by a university while driving home. Outside the gate, she saw a familiar face, Elmer, but he was not wearing his janitor uniform. He was carrying a drafting tube, engineering books, and a backpack. He was also surrounded by several students happily talking with him. One woman was even holding onto his arm. Jasmine did not understand why, but she felt a slight sense of jealousy. The next day, Jasmine could no longer control her curiosity. When she saw Elmer alone near his desk, she immediately approached him. "Elmer, I saw you yesterday outside the university. What were you doing there?" The young man was momentarily stunned. It seemed he never expected Jasmine to see him in that place. But instead of avoiding the question, he decided to reveal the part of the truth that he was willing to share. "I'm studying, ma'am," Elmer answered. "I'm already graduating in engineering." Jasmine could not speak for a moment. She thought Elmer spent his entire day working only as a janitor. She never expected that after his exhausting job, he still attended night classes just to finish his degree. At that moment, what she felt for Elmer was no longer pity. It was deep admiration. Because she saw that the young man had a dream, determination, and a clear direction he was following. One morning, Jasmine found a cup of hot coffee and a croissant on her desk. There was also a short note. "Good morning, ma'am Jasmine. I hope you enjoy this simple breakfast I prepared for you." The letter did not need a signature. Jasmine immediately knew who left it. While she secretly felt excited, her coworkers noticed, and they immediately teased her about the mysterious man who gave her breakfast. A little later, Elmer arrived carrying documents requested by the manager. But when Renato saw the folders, he suddenly became angry. He claimed that the documents Elmer brought were incorrect. Instead of speaking to him properly, he shouted at him in front of the entire office. "Can't you even follow a simple instruction?" Elmer remained silent. He did not answer back. He chose to swallow his humiliation while everyone watched him. Jasmine remained standing as Elmer was being scolded. She wanted to tell Renato that what he was doing was wrong. She wanted to defend the helpless young man, but because she was still new in the company, she could not bring herself to speak. When she saw Elmer quietly walk away, she felt a deep sense of pity and anger. Anger toward Renato, and anger toward herself for failing to defend someone who was slowly becoming important to her. That night, Jasmine waited for Elmer outside the building. She asked if he was the one who left the coffee and croissant. The young man hesitated before finally admitting it. "Yes, I'm sorry if you didn't like it." Jasmine smiled. "I never said I didn't like it. In fact, it was the best coffee I've had this week." And for the first time, she asked him not to call her ma'am anymore. "Just call me Jasmine," she said. From that moment on, Elmer and Jasmine became closer. But every night, Elmer still returned to a small room. There, he worked on engineering plates, read thick textbooks, and solved difficult engineering problems. There were nights when he slept for only 2 hours. There were mornings when his back hurt and his hands trembled from exhaustion. But he never gave up, because for Elmer, it was better to become tired chasing his own dream than to live a life chosen by someone else for him. As Jasmine and Elmer's conversations became more frequent, the whispers around the office continued to grow. One day, Melissa approached her. "Jasmine, you're an accountant. You're a board passer. You come from a good family. Why are you always spending time with the janitor?" For Melissa, the two of them did not belong together. She believed Elmer could never provide the kind of life Jasmine was used to. But as Melissa continued talking, Jasmine only became more convinced of how shallow some people's views were when judging another person's worth. Jasmine looked at Melissa calmly but firmly. A job can change. A janitor can become an engineer. A poor person can rise and succeed. But a person's attitude and character, those are much harder to change. For Jasmine, kindness, hard work, and respect mattered more than position or wealth. Melissa was left speechless. She never expected Jasmine to defend someone so strongly who, in their eyes, was only an ordinary worker. What Jasmine did not know was that Elmer was only on the other side of the filing room. He heard their entire conversation. He heard how Jasmine defended him. Even when he was not there in front of her, the young man slowly smiled. For the first time since leaving his family's home, there was someone who saw him without considering his surname, money, or background. Jasmine cared for him as the person she knew him to be, simply a janitor. And that made Elmer's feelings for her grow even deeper. But along with Elmer's happiness, a growing fear slowly appeared. What would happen when Jasmine discovered that he was actually wealthy? What would happen when she learned that the building he cleaned every day belonged to his family? She might think he had deceived everyone. She might lose her trust in him. And more than anything, Jasmine's view of him might change the moment she discovered that he was not just an ordinary janitor. Meanwhile, while Jasmine was reviewing the company's financial records, she noticed several amounts that did not match. There were large payments for maintenance, electrical repairs, and building improvements. But when she checked the actual projects, she could not find enough evidence that those works had been completed. The same contractor's name repeatedly appeared, and most of the documents. Jasmine went to the filing room to search for the supporting documents, but when she opened the cabinet, several folders were missing. She immediately remembered the documents Renato had once asked Elmer to retrieve. It was also the same day Elmer had been shouted at and humiliated. Slowly, a possibility formed in Jasmine's mind. Maybe Elmer did not make a mistake when getting the folders. Maybe Renato simply did not want anyone else to see what was inside them. That night, Jasmine secretly spoke with Elmer inside the records room. She asked what he remembered about the documents Renato had requested. Elmer said they were maintenance contracts and billing statements, although he did not intentionally read everything. Some numbers immediately caught his attention. That was when the two began working together, not just as friends anymore, but as partners searching for the truth. As an engineering student, Elmer knew the usual prices of electrical wires, breakers, conduits, and construction materials. When he saw the invoices, he immediately noticed that the listed prices were extremely inflated. Some of the prices were almost 3 times higher than normal. There were materials claimed to be premium quality, but according to the maintenance records, cheaper products were actually installed. That was when they realized what they discovered might not be a simple accounting error. Every night, after most employees had left, Jasmine and Elmer secretly examined old records. Jasmine used her accounting knowledge to trace where the money was going. Meanwhile, Elmer compared the building plans, materials, and the actual condition of the structure. Little by little, they connected the signatures, invoices, bank transfers, and false reports. With every document they uncovered, it became clearer that a long-running fraud had been taking place. Finally, they discovered the company that was repeatedly being paid for fake projects. It had no real office. It had no actual employees, and its bank account was connected to someone close to Renato. For 3 years. Millions of pesos had already been taken from the company and the building's owner. What they uncovered was no longer just theft. Renato may have also placed everyone inside the building in danger. Before they could copy all the evidence, the records room door suddenly opened. Renato was standing there. His face was filled with anger. He noticed the folders, invoices, and laptop on the table. He immediately understood what the two of them were doing. "What are you doing here?" At that moment, Jasmine and Elmer knew they had been caught, and they also knew that Renato would do everything possible to hide his crime. Renato angrily grabbed the folder from Jasmine's hand. "You have no permission to touch confidential records then." He turned toward Elmer. "And you're just a janitor. You have no right to interfere with company documents." Elmer tightly clenched his fist, not because he was ashamed of his job, but because he knew Renato was using his position to step on people he considered beneath him. The next day, Jasmine and Elmer were called into the conference room. The senior officers and several employees were there. Renato presented the CCTV footage showing them entering the records room. Instead of answering questions about the missing money, he accused them of taking confidential documents. He claimed that the two of them might be working together. And within only a few minutes, Renato turned the entire situation around and made them appear like the criminals. When Elmer heard the whispers against Jasmine, he decided to take all the blame. "Just blame me. Jasmine has nothing to do with this." Jasmine immediately tried to stop him, but Elmer did not want her name and career to be ruined because of him. Because of this, he was fired from his job. Meanwhile, Jasmine was suspended while the company claimed an investigation was being conducted. Renato smiled. He thought he had finally silenced the two people who discovered his secret. That night, Jasmine went home in tears and with a heavy heart. She was not afraid of losing her job. She had the ability to start again. But she could not accept that the real thief was still free. What hurt even more was knowing that Elmer sacrificed himself to protect her. As she held the suspension letter, one thing became clear to her. What she felt for Elmer was no longer simple admiration. She had fallen in love with him. Meanwhile, Elmer returned to the building to collect his belongings. He quietly walked toward the basement locker room. Inside were some clothes, engineering notes, and the simple things he had left behind. It was painful to leave the job that had supported him for many years, but he was never ashamed of the time he spent as a janitor, because through that job, he learned humility, strength, and responsibility. While walking through the basement corridor, Elmer noticed something unusual. It was not ordinary smoke. It was the smell of burning electrical insulation. As an engineering student, he knew it could be a sign of a short circuit or overloaded wiring. He immediately followed the smell. As he approached the electrical room, the thin smoke coming from beneath the door became thicker. Something was wrong, and only a few seconds remained before a major disaster could happen. Elmer slowly opened the electrical room. The old distribution panel was sparking. There were also thin, cheap wires that were not suitable for the building's electrical load. These were the materials the company had paid for at extremely high prices. Because of Renato's corruption, low-quality materials had actually been installed in the building. Suddenly, part of the panel exploded. The fire spread through the cables, and within only a few seconds, a fire began that could take many lives. Elmer did not hesitate. He immediately pressed the fire alarm and called the security personnel. "Get everyone out! There is an electrical fire in the basement." The alarm echoed throughout the entire building. The employees panicked. The elevators stopped and some lights went out, while others rushed outside. Elmer stayed behind to help the security team make sure no one was left inside. He did not know that the most important person in his life had returned upstairs. When Jasmine reached outside the building, she remembered the flash drive she had hidden in her office drawer. It contained copies of the bank transfers, invoices, and documents that could prove Renato's crime. She knew returning inside was dangerous, but she also knew that if the evidence was destroyed, the real culprit might escape forever. Despite the alarm and smoke, she ran back to the 11th floor to retrieve the only thing that could save their names. Jasmine retrieved the flash drive from her drawer. She held it tightly as she rushed toward the exit. But when she pulled the electronic door, it would not open. The access system had failed because of the power outage. Smoke continued filling the office. She struggled to breathe. She shouted and repeatedly knocked on the glass door. But with the sound of the alarm, no one heard her cries for help. Inside the basement security room, Elmer checked the building's access log. There was one person who had not yet exited the 11th floor. When he saw the name, it felt as if all the sounds around him disappeared. Jasmine Lapid. He immediately understood that she had returned to the office. At that moment, nothing else mattered. He did not think about the fire, the smoke, or the danger. The only thing that mattered was getting the woman he loved out alive. Elmer ran toward the emergency stairs. He climbed floor after floor. As he went higher, the air became hotter and the smoke became thicker. His chest began to hurt. His legs grew weaker. But every time he thought about stopping, he remembered Jasmine's name on the access log. So he continued climbing, not as the heir of the building, but as a man willing to risk himself for the woman he loved. When Elmer reached the 11th floor, he heard Jasmine's faint cries from the other side of the glass door. He grabbed the fire axe mounted on the wall. With all his strength, he struck the electronic lock. Once. Twice, until the door finally broke open. Thick smoke rushed into the hallway, but Elmer did not care. The only thing that mattered was that Jasmine was still alive. "Elmer!" Jasmine shouted when she saw him. He immediately rushed toward her and held her tightly. For a few seconds, both of them felt the fear that this might be the last time they would ever see each other. But Elmer quickly regained focus. He covered Jasmine's mouth with a wet cloth. "We need to leave." Jasmine tightly held the flash drive, but for Elmer, no evidence was more important than her life. As they hurried toward the emergency stairs, the ceiling suddenly shook. A large metal frame fell toward Jasmine. Without hesitation, Elmer pushed her away from danger. He saved her, but the heavy metal frame struck his shoulder. Elmer collapsed onto the floor. "Elmer?" Jasmine cried as she crawled back toward him. At that moment, he proved that he was willing to suffer as long as the woman he loved was safe. "Go down first," Elmer said weakly. But Jasmine held on to him tightly. "I won't leave you." She tried to lift the injured young man, but she could not carry him alone. Fortunately, firefighters arrived. They immediately removed the fallen metal and placed Elmer on a stretcher as they carried them out of the building. Jasmine never let go of his hand. She was afraid that the moment she released it, she would lose him forever. Elmer was rushed to the nearest hospital. Jasmine remained in the emergency room hallway, her clothes dirty and her face covered in ash. Moments later, a beautiful female doctor quickly approached her. "I'm Dr. Susan Suarez. I'm Elmer's sister." Jasmine stared at her. She never knew Elmer had a doctor sister. Before she could ask anything else, another man arrived, making her even more shocked. The man who arrived was none other than Dr. Arturo Suarez, one of the most respected doctors in Makati, the director of the hospital where Elmer had been brought. "What happened to my son?" he asked with anger and worry. Jasmine could not speak immediately. Son? Elmer, the janitor everyone looked down on, was actually the son of a famous doctor and hospital director. With only one sentence, the first great secret about the young man was finally revealed. Helena Suarez also arrived. She immediately hugged Jasmine after learning that she was the woman her son saved. That was when Jasmine discovered the entire truth. Elmer's family was not only wealthy, they were also the owners of the building where they worked. The floors Elmer cleaned every day, the office where people looked down on him, and the building that almost burned down were all part of his family's property. But he chose to work as a janitor so he could live without depending on their name. After the surgery, Elmer woke up inside a quiet hospital room. The first person he saw was his father. The two stared at each other for a long moment. Then, Dr. Arturo apologized. "I thought you had to become like me for me to be proud of you. Now, I realized that I was wrong. I'm not proud of you because you are a Suarez. I'm proud of you because you are brave, responsible, and a good person." Elmer's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time after so many years, father and son embraced again. The flash drive Jasmine saved became the most important evidence against Renato. It contained the bank transfers, fake invoices, signatures, and maintenance contracts. It also proved that the cheap electrical materials he installed were the cause of the fire. Renato tried to escape before he could be arrested, but the authorities quickly tracked him down. Finally, the man who loved humiliating those he considered weak was the one, standing in handcuffs in front of the employees he once intimidated. Several weeks later, Elmer and Jasmine returned to the building. Everyone became silent when they saw that Elmer was no longer wearing his janitor uniform. He stood beside his mother and the company board members. "I would like to introduce to all of you my son, Elmer Suarez," Helena announced. "One of the heirs of this building." The employees' eyes widened. The man they called poor, the young man they repeatedly underestimated, was actually one of the true owners of the building where they worked. But Elmer did not show anger or seek revenge. He faced the employees and the janitors, guards, and maintenance workers who had once worked beside him. "I am not ashamed of being a janitor. That is an honorable job. Without the cleaners, guards, and maintenance workers, this building would not be safe and properly maintained." Then he looked at the people who once looked down on him. "No one should ever be called just a janitor, because no person is ever just anything." After those words, everyone quietly lowered their heads. Because of Jasmine's skill, honesty, and courage, she was offered a position as the company's senior internal auditor. She was not given the position because she was close to Elmer. She earned it because she was the first person to discover the fraud, and because she chose to fight for the truth even when her own job was at risk. Meanwhile, the salaries and benefits of the janitors, guards, and maintenance workers were also increased. The building that was once filled with judgment slowly became a place where the dignity of every worker was valued. 1 year later, Elmer graduated with an engineering degree as one of the top students in his class. On graduation day, his entire family was there, but the happiest moment for him was when his own father placed the medal around his neck. He was no longer the son who disobeyed and was rejected. He was now a young man who chose to follow his own dream and proved that he could succeed without giving up who he truly was. Years later, Elmer and Jasmine established a foundation for working students. They provided scholarships to the children of janitors, security guards, maintenance workers, and other ordinary employees. Elmer knew how difficult it was to balance work and education. That was why he wanted to give opportunities to young people with dreams, but without enough money and support. For him, the best way to repay his success was to help others rise as well. After the launch of their foundation, Elmer brought Jasmine back to their old office. They entered the pantry where their eyes first met. On top of the table, there was a cup of hot coffee, a croissant, and a short note. Just like the simple breakfast Elmer left for her when they were only beginning to know each other. Jasmine smiled. That was where their story began, and in that same place, a new chapter was waiting for them. Jasmine slowly opened the note. Everything started with a cup of coffee. Can we continue our story with a ring? When she turned around, Elmer was already kneeling in front of her. He was holding a small ring. Jasmine laughed. You were the first person who saw me without measuring my worth through my job, my name, or my wealth. Will you stay with me for the rest of our lives? With tears in her eyes, Jasmine nodded. Double quotes. Yes, Elmer. Even when you were still just a janitor. Several months later, Elmer and Jasmine were married in front of their families, friends, and the workers who became part of their journey. Jasmine did not love Elmer because he was the heir to a large building. She loved him when everyone else only knew him as a janitor. She loved the hardworking, humble man who was willing to sacrifice himself for others. And Elmer found the woman who accepted him without asking for his name, title, or wealth. From that day forward, no one called him just a janitor anymore, because he proved that a person's true value is not measured by their job, clothing, or possessions. It is measured by their dreams, their dignity, and the kindness within their heart. In the end, Elmer proved that a person's true value is not measured by their job, name, or wealth, but by their hard work, dignity, and kindness of heart. What do you think about Elmer and Jasmine's story? Is it right to judge someone only because of their occupation? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Please don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel to keep you updated for videos to come. Thank you.